Hey guys, welcome back to Choosing Recovery. I am Olivia.
I'm Scott 8.
And we have an incredible story from Taylor, so let's jump right into that great inspiration.
What was your drug of choice or choices if you had multiple?
Oh yeah, for sure. So my drug of choices were by the end of it, methamphetamine, crack cocaine, and heroin.
Okay.
It started off, with the huffing and then the marijuana and then the cocaine and then freebase on the cocaine and then the party scene, ecstasy, all that stuff.
Yep.
And then eventually pain pills and heroin, meth, crack cocaine. Yeah.
Yep. It escalates quickly there once the painkillers come in.
Yeah.
It does. I feel you, man.
Yeah. I mean, I was consciously making the decision to go to the next one because I was just looking for that, looking for the one that fit. Looking for the one that would make me feel like the first time I ever did drugs. I was very aware that drugs were my solution, so whatever could fill that hole was where I was going.
Absolutely. All right. And at what age was your first use?
So it's a little fuzzy, but like around 11 or 12 was the first time that I actually remember doing some type of substance. And at that time, the first thing I did was huffing. Like huffing paint and markers and all that stuff. So that was the first thing I ever did, and then marijuana was shortly after that.
Okay. Yeah, 12 is usually like we do a lot of research for it because I think it's necessary to bring the factual stuff into it. And most of our videos, everyone's like 12, 13. Well, it's actually proven over like 25 years they did this study that the average age was 13 years old. And I was like, wow, it's like that time you get that foot out the door and you can explore more,
Absolutely.
So that's pretty incredible to like know, and everyone keeps saying it. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's crazy.
It's crazy.
I think
it's crazy to think, because I look at my nephew and he's 12 and 13.
Yeah.
Damn, he looks so innocent and young, It's a trip.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And the education that I had in school, there was none. I don't remember any education besides the DARE program, if that was even a thing then.
Yeah.
Right.
If anything, it made me want to drink more.
That for me confirmed the fact that I was going to do drugs.
Yeah.
That's what
it was.
Yeah, it was crazy. The behaviors before the drugs were there. Like when I wanted to escape my reality, I would, manipulate my mom into watching cartoons or playing more video games. When I wanted to, change the way I felt, I would hoard copious amounts of junk food and sugar. So I had those behaviors already. So in the DARE program, they said, oh, this stuff is going to change your reality and the way you feel. I'm like, oh, no brainer. That's what
Game on.
So I wanted to not be who I was, and they confirmed that it was going to do that for me. So
wow, yeah.
Perfect.
How long have you used for though? From start to beginning?
So from 12, it wasn't like constant at that age. It was kind of hard to do it consistently, while trying to also be a part of my family and like school and like kids that didn't do drugs. So, but consistently probably like 15 to 27 is when I got sober. Okay. For sure. So like 12, 13 years there consistently. And with that came a whole array of, different scenes and communities and drug use. So yeah, so probably a total of like 12, 13 years.
How long have you been sober now?
So 5 years now.
Yeah, brother.
October 10th was 5 years, so.
Good job.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
good for you. Congratulations.
It's hard enough to get a day, man, but it gets easier. That's what we're trying to show people.
The craziest thing, it's like, I don't have the obsession anymore, but like, I've come to realize like the farthest, somebody said this early on, I didn't get it, but the farther away I am from my last drink, the closer I am to my next one, It's crazy how the more time I get, the more normal you feel, right? And that's one of the reasons why I do the TikTok and stuff like that, to like remind myself, like, dude, you're so not normal,
Yes.
I'm a big, I'm a product of the 12 steps, so like that's what I'm very heavily still involved in that. I don't promote it because like 11th tradition, things like that, but I'm very heavily involved in that, and that keeps me, as a reminder as well. But it's crazy because I don't relate to that person that I was anymore.
Yeah.
You know, I know that person's inside me, and I'm capable of going there, but I don't relate to the thought process and the perspective and the goals that individual had, you know, or that I had back then. It's a trip.
Yeah, and that's what we try to show people out here, because where we live, like, there's one meeting every single night, same people, same things like that. Like, it's not like we don't have a vast variety of like what a lot of people have, and we'd really like, that's why like doing like something like this is a huge support network for us. We're building like a family that, you know, we don't really get to have out here. So this is not only we're trying to help people, that because that's the main goal, but not doing this helps us. You know, giving back helps us.
Absolutely.
Part, you know what I mean? So
I so relate with feeling normal, you know, like what is normal, but like I so get it. Like sometimes I'm like, I don't know, I think after like my second year or something, I was like, oh, I can have a glass of wine with dinner, and I was like, Olivia, you know, and I like had this conversation with myself, and I'm like, but you're gonna be fine. And I'm like, no, you're not. And it's like back and forth.
Exactly.
Oh,
exactly.
All right. Who did your addiction affect?
Ooh, everybody, right? In the beginning, it's crazy because it really added a lot to my life, man. And I think it affected the people in my life in a positive way in the beginning, because I became alive. You know, I felt connected to something, which allowed me to be the best person I could be within my family and within my friends group. You know, along the way that turned very, you know, quickly, right? As the drugs changed. But I mean, it negatively affected everybody I claimed to love. You know, my family, my friends, myself, primarily my direct family. And that's because, you know, my mom was there. You know, she became the pretty stereotypical mom who was trying to save her son, right? Who, you know, whether she liked it or not, became the enabler. And my dad, you know, completely shut me off. Their marriage got affected because of me. My brother, who's a federal officer, you know, I put his job at risk.
Oh, wow,
and his family at risk. So there's, you know, most of the people that are affected. And then even in sobriety, like my wife now, I was told I had Hep C at 19 months sober.
Yeah.
You know, and we were already well into our relationship at that point. So it even continued to affect people afterwards. You know, Hep C free now, which is great, and you know, she never was affected by it, but that's a very big mental struggle that we had to go through together. Yeah. Even at 19 months still, you know, continues to affect people, right?
Absolutely.
But they're still not fully over it. So there's definitely some residuals, you know, some wreckage that's still there, as we said. But yeah, I mean, it affects everybody. It's way more than an individual issue. Absolutely. In my opinion.
What led you to get clean?
Oh man, so many people, so many parents have asked me this, you know, over the last 5 years. They want a magic pill. They want, you know, the solution for their child, right? And I really couldn't pinpoint it, or I didn't really have a good answer for them until recently. I kind of discovered for myself that I happened to be in the right place, you know, at the right time, right? And people showed me a certain level of compassion while I was there. You know, that's what led me to get sober. Like, I was told the right thing at the right time in enough pain. You know, I remember I was living with my drug dealer at the time, and he was constantly like beating his girlfriend on a regular basis, like in front of me. You know, it's just that was the nature of their relationship, and I couldn't do anything about it. I needed his drugs, you know, and I convinced myself that, you know, I wasn't going to go to do anything anyway, you know. So I left that situation when I got an opportunity to go to rehab one more time, because I just didn't want to be there. I didn't care where I went. I just didn't want to be there anymore, you know. And it happens to be that when I got to that last rehab, an individual there, you know, after spending a few hours with me, you know, called me cool, and he said, "You're a cool guy," and I lost it, dude. Like, I freaking lost it. I had never been called cool my entire life. You know, nobody, you know, extended that level of compassion or, you know, support for me, except for my parents, but like they were supposed to, right? Right. Somebody that didn't know me, who knew I was a drug addict, you know, put that label on me of like a guy that they would hang out with. You know, so that right there at that time, coming from that situation, is what gave me hope. I remember getting this like warm feeling of like,
wow.
Okay, maybe, like maybe there's something more, right?
Yep.
Because drugs were my solution, life was my problem. I didn't know anything else. I didn't care about anything else. And this guy calling me cool at that time, in that place, after coming from the situation I was in, led me believe that there was something more. So that's what led me to getting sober, just being treated with compassion by a certain person at the right time.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
It is awesome.
Which is hard to replicate. You can't like replicate that, which is like another struggle, right? Now that I have an answer, it's like, how do I replicate that for people, right? So that's what I'm working on now. Now that I understand what happened, it's like I'm working on how to replicate that for other people.
And I definitely think that like maybe like everyone's recovery is individual, and maybe that's just an individual thing too. Is like everyone has a different way of going about it. Like someone's rock bottom is somebody's just like, oh, whatever. You know, it's
Exactly.
what more can happen, you know?
Yeah.
So absolutely, I think it's always gonna be like a different answer maybe. Who knows?
It is. It's tough.
Yeah. It is so tough. Because we have the family series on our YouTube channel too, and there's people that reach out to us, and it's hard, you know, because I just sometimes I'm like, you're not gonna like what I have to, like what I'm gonna tell you.
Yeah.
You know, like really prepare for the worst and probably expect it too. And they're just like, what? And I'm like, it's just, you know, like they have to want it, and you can't force anyone to want it, because even when they want it, it's not easy. You know, they can't just like like you have to get to that bottom or that bad place. So yeah, it's definitely hard.
I used to have the worst time trying to figure out where I fit in life, who I belonged around. I always thought my life had to be at a certain place. I had to be somewhere, so I had to be with certain people, I had to have a certain job. And what I figured out, what it wrapped all around is that's what everybody wanted for me, all combined. How are you staying clean today?
I mean, I'm a product of the 12 steps, like I said before. I'm heavily involved there. But just service in general is my number one, thing that I equate to keeping me sober. You know, education for families and individuals who are struggling, support for anybody, you know, in a solution-oriented way, right, where I'm not negatively affecting my life on a continuous basis. You know, and service outside of the recovery community too. You know, I'm involved in a few nonprofits, food banks, beach cleanups, things like that. I think it's super important to learn how to be of service, learn how to have fun outside of the 12-step programs as well as in them. Because what I've seen is a lot of people get burned out on the 12-step programs. You know, and when they get burned out, they leave it entirely, or if half of them is out of it, then they don't have the ability to give service or the ability to have fun. You know, so I think it's really important to be able to have it inside the rooms to keep it exciting. You know, as well as outside. You know, so I'm really big on both of those aspects. You know, my hobbies are very thrill-seeking, if you will. You know, that keeps me on that natural search for adrenaline and that natural high, if you will, to continue pushing the limits of my own life. Skydiving, you know, surfing large waves, free diving. Like I'm trying to get certified to swim open water with sharks. Like that's like just constantly, you know, pushing the limits of life. You know, a very real and intentional understanding that I am alive. You know, keeping that at the forefront, whether it's through service or through activities, you know, or through education for parents or anybody. So it's always in the forefront of my mind that like my recovery is first, even though it might be a very small part of my life, it's always number one. You know, everything always comes with the intention of how can I continue to be of service and add value to others so I can keep my own cup full so that I can continue to pour into others. So
like that.
that's
incredible. I love it. That's great.
And I really like, so when you learn how to incorporate the 12 steps in your life on a daily basis, and you can go to like a beach and pick up trash and still have fun doing it, you learn how to become, it's I wouldn't call us, like you said, normal people, because we'll never be normal people. Because we're just, that normal for us is learning something, a completely new way of life. So when you look at things that you would have thought were boring 5 years ago, whatever, yesterday, it doesn't matter, and you can actually turn that into a very fun environment, you can do that in any situation you're in. You can make the best of life. You can wake up in the morning, make your bed, put a smile on your face and say, I'm gonna kick today's ass, you know? So it's, I love the mindset.
Again, like I'm pretty, I don't have the exception to drink, but I'm trying to be the person, I walk by a piece of trash and in no universe am I not picking that up, right? Like I'm picking it up no matter what, because that's the type of human being that I want to be, and that's the type of example I want to be for other people, you know? So like that's really what, you know, I take from the 12 steps and from people that I come in contact with to then give back and be that example for others.
I love the mindset, man. It's great. It's awesome. Amazing. What's your biggest accomplishment in recovery?
Ooh, okay. So, if you asked me in different stages, I would have totally given you like the egotistical, like I was a nationally qualified athlete in bodybuilding, or I've been on this many YouTube channels, or I've been, you know, but the external stuff is awesome because that helps me be the example to other people. And like, hey, sobriety is not boring, you know, you can accomplish all this stuff. But my biggest accomplishment is truly loving myself.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, truly being proud of the man and person that I've become. You know, because when I can be proud of who I am, when I can build that credibility within myself, then my light will shine to others, genuinely, right? I'm not trying to sell it to anybody. This is a genuine belief that I have in myself, and that will come across to other people. Like, dude, this dude's telling me the truth. You know, sobriety might be rad. Like, maybe I'll give this thing a shot. You know, so I think that is the biggest accomplishment for me, because then it will really, really come across to other people as genuine.
Yeah.
Amazing.
If you could say something to someone still using, what would you say?
Communicate honestly with somebody. You know, be transparent with where you're at. You know, like I tell people, we can't help if we don't know, right? So, and you know, do you want to be sober? Like that's a huge question, right? That's a big question for people, you know, because as we talked about before, they have to want it. You know, they have to be in their place in their life where sobriety sounds, you know, appealing to them, you know, or where they're just tired of doing what they were doing. You know, I had a lot of fun in my using, dude. I made a conscious decision at 12, 13 years old that this was going to be my career. This is everything I was going to do. Everybody I was with, everything I thought about, everything I put effort into was going to be revolved around drugs and alcohol. You know, so coming out of that was a big step for me. You know, and it served a purpose for a long time. You know, so for anybody that's using, like, what are your goals, right? If it's to be a drug addict for the rest of your life, like, you're doing it, you know, just keep doing what you're doing, right? At the weight of everybody else in your life being hurt. But you know, if you want something more, then you know, get around people that know how to stay sober. You know, if I want to be a lawyer, I got to get around lawyers. If I want to get sober, get around people that know how to stay sober. You know, so ask yourself that really important question: do I want to stay sober? And then communicate openly with people, and then get around people that know how to do it.
Yeah. Good answer.
Amazing.
Now, if you could say something to a family member of a loved one that's still using, what would you say?
Oh man, I really wish there was a better answer, you know. But get educated.
Great.
Get educated.
Thank you.
You know, get educated. A lot of the time, it takes a third party, you know, to really, you know, be able to understand the dynamic of the family, right? Yeah. Whether that's a family member that's sober in the program, whether it's an interventionist, whether it's a sober coach, whether it's an online Facebook group of women and mothers that understand, you know, or a TikTok that, you know, to reach out. Like,
absolutely.
Get educated in every way possible. Understand that it's not personal to you. It might feel personal, right?
Right.
But it's not. And just come from a place of understanding and compassion, because a lot of the time I see, even with me, like I got friends that are using, right? Like I'm the individual that leads with emotion, right? We lead with emotion, which usually comes out as anger or resentment, and then there's no honest conversation that can happen, you know. So coming from a place of understanding and compassion and a solution-oriented approach is really important.
Yeah.
And to have that, a lot of the time, like I said, it takes a third party, you know, to be able to do that in a healthy manner. So education is key, and you know, having the right approach.
Yeah.
So first of all, I want to say thank you. You know, thank you for doing what you're doing. You know, it's really a breath of fresh air. People in the recovery community don't have a lot of people on their side, you know, as it is. So to see, you know, individuals like you going out of your way, purposely trying to get that connection for people, purposely, you know, trying to create that platform for individuals, you know, that need help, right, and need that education and need that support. Like right now, the world is so in an area of unknown, right? And put that on top of the unknown that we already struggle with in society, right? And put that on top of the isolation, on top of the stigma, everything else, you know. So for you guys to be doing what you're doing, creating that space for people, it's truly a gift. And I just want to say thank you so much. You know, it really means the world, and I believe that you're making a real impact in people's lives. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you.
Thank you.
And saying that, like I really want to stress the importance of connection and community, you know, for people, like what you're doing here, right? Like what, you know, I choose to do on the different social media platforms. Like a lot of people don't know how to get connected. A lot of people don't know how to build that community, and it really starts with just sharing your story, putting yourself out there to say, hey, you know what, I'm struggling, I need help. You know, and I understand the fear of rejection. I understand the fear of feedback and the fear of stigma and being judged. Like I totally get that. You know, but for anybody that might be listening that is struggling with that, I can tell you from my personal experience, and I'm sure you guys have had the same experience. I've never had anybody that has an opinion of any weight, right? There's haters, but anybody that has an opinion of any weight or that matters in my life directly shame me for saying, hey, listen, I'm struggling, I need help. I've never had that. You know, so I really want to stress people putting that hand up and saying, listen, I can't do this alone, I really need help, you know, and reaching out at different communities, whether it's a Facebook group, like I said, whether it's an Instagram page, whether it's a YouTube channel, whether it's a hotline, whether it's an in-person meeting, whether it's a sober coach that gives you a free consultation, whatever it is, you know, there's so many resources out there. You know, and I really want to just stress that for people that might be struggling, that don't know where to turn, you know, that there is help, that we do care, we do love you, we are here, we hear you, we see you, all that stuff, you know, and there is hope. There's so much hope. I know that everybody has the capability to be great, you know, and everybody deserves a good life no matter what. You know, I'm proof of it, you all are proof of it, you know, so that's something that I try to get across on a daily basis through all of my messages, that we can do it together, right? There are communities, there are people that care, you know, we understand, and I look forward, you know, to seeing everybody, you know, take hold of that little bit of hope that they might find in shows like this, or TikToks like mine, or any other platforms that are out there. So that's what I have to say. That's my spiel. That's my pitch for anybody that might be questioning, you know, this thing.
Awesome.
And again, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Taylor. Thank you so much for giving us the time and coming on. It is all about community, and it's incredible to see, like, you know, we've never met before, and we jumped on and talked like we were friends, you know, like, and we relate to each other, and that's just alone, that's incredible.
Yeah, totally. My name is Taylor Reichelt. I have a sobriety rate of 10-10-15, and I'm extremely grateful for this opportunity and for you, and for what you do to help those that are still struggling. So
thank you so much.